I find myself, when I speak about The Rock, not being all moonlight and canoes. And I gotta tell you, I love The Rock. I'm a very big fan. I've never met him. I would love to meet him. But I've communicated with him. We know the same people. He sent me messages, or I sent one back. He personally wrote me a very beautiful message the night I retired. And I didn't know how direct messaging worked, so I didn't get it for many months. So I never thanked him. Things like this. But it was very beautiful. And he let me know that he enjoyed my work as a commentator. And whether he was just being nice or not, I took it as sincere. He said he liked my work. He said he valued it. And he didn't use these words, Chael, you tell it like it is. But it was close. It meant that. And I say that because I know he watches these pieces. And if he did mean those words, if he really does value my opinion as somebody that can stare back and look at the board and then identify things accurately, I would imagine in his space, he doesn't have very many people like that. So I, whether falsely or even arrogantly, view myself as somebody that can get his ear and program to what he's not seeing. So when I come out and I'm not always wonderful, it does come from a good place. And it has to do because he took the time to write me. Personal letter is a very big deal. Personal letter goes a lot further, right, than something else. So I share that because he's in a jackpot right now, and I just feel like they're missing it. Rock's going to come in, right? And you got to get your timeline down. Boom! On a Thursday, Netflix announces, and it jumps the WWE, well, I apologize, it jumps the TKO stock. The UFC even got a bump from this because they're now in bed together. 20+%. It was just under 21% on an announcement that they did a $5 billion Netflix deal. And one of the reasons it drove up is because people that read it and understood it saw it was for Raw. That was the fascinating part. So wait a minute, is this a misprint? I actually don't know the answer to that question. There shouldn't be misprints at that level. That could be viewed as a crime. You don't get to make mistakes at that level, but is it? It's almost too good to be true. $5 billion over 10 years for Raw. Wait a minute, you didn't get the pay-per-views? You didn't get SmackDown? You didn't get NXT? You just got the Monday night product? Wow, that would really be incredible. I mean, that would be shockingly great deal for WWE. So, okay, great. But that comes out on a Thursday. Boom. Vince defecates on a woman's head. That comes out on Friday. Saturday is a pay-per-view where Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar, is supposed to return. They pull him. Sunday is off, and by Monday morning, Brock and Vince do not exist in the digital universe of WWE.com. So this is your timeline, okay? Somewhere in there, The Rock joins the board of directors for TKO. Now, that is not a work of any kind. And there again, it would be a crime. I mean, not that any of you think that it's work. I'm just sharing for you that there's some real sensitivities when you start dealing with the SEC. There's some real sensitivities when you start to deal with a board of a publicly traded company, where you live in one space where nobody knows what reality is, and you live in another space where, boy, it had better all be reality. So it's just an interesting juxtaposition. And also, as an overlay to this, is Rock is going to return, and when he returns, he's going to take the highest spot, which of course he is. The Rock's not going to return to open a show. He's not going to return to be a co-main event. Of course he's going to return to the top spot. Now, if he's volunteering to return, you could put him at a Royal Rumble. You could put him at something special. You could put him at an Elimination Chamber, for that matter. It just so happens the way the dates line up, they're going to put him in a WrestleMania. Fine. That might have been the first mistake, by the way. But fine. This is all going to happen. So it's very in line with wrestling, right? If you bring the top draw in, and wrestlers are incentivized to want the top draw on top of the bill, even if it's not them, even if it means bumping their own dreams, they're incentivized. The way the money works is they also take a value on the house. It's a meaningfully different component that they have versus what we have. We in MMA took our cues from them. Lorenzo Fertitta told the world as much. But one thing he did not take was that live gate component because Lorenzo wasn't doing house shows. So we didn't think it was relevant that he do take the house component. I'm only pointing to that distinction because it would be very normal and even supportive for what The Rock did. The Rock did nothing wrong by returning and agreeing to go to top of the bill. That May they called him and said, "Do you want to return?" Without even stating it, he's going to the top of the bill. And without even discussing it, he's going to put the other guy over. He's not going to win a 1, 2, 3 if the title's on the line. Which is why if you would have used him somewhere else, you might have put him in a non-title match. And that way, he could win. You wouldn't know at that point. You can't sell something where people know the finish. So when The Rock is going to come in, so you got to understand there was a big mix-up made here. They misread the room. It was supposed to be Cody Roman, Rock steps in, bump Cody, put Rock opposite Roman. And it's not what the crowd wanted. They knew they had to run that back. They knew they had to run that back and they needed to fix it. And the crowd was very passionate and they were not playing. Now, business probably would have done the same thing. You probably would have attracted and moved just as much. It for sure would sell out. It's likely going to do very good numbers on TV as well. It's probably not going to change. But that's not one of the rules of wrestling. And when you're at the biggest event of the year, which is WrestleMania, you observe and show an absolute integrity and respect to the rules of wrestling, which is you give the crowd what they want. Number one. And you want to finish that thought, you give them what they want, not what they're expecting. But either way, it's in that order. You give them what they want. We got to get Cody back in there. We got to get The Rock out. So they decide they're going to bring these big three to a SmackDown, a Thursday night SmackDown. They do bring them. The Rock turns heel, but there's nowhere to turn heel because he didn't pick up a full schedule. He doesn't even have a full contract. He's supposed to do a couple of appearances and then WrestleMania. So to turn him heel was confusing. To go heel, he smacks Cody somewhere when The Rock shows up and he's supposed to be the main event. Somewhere in slapping Cody, The Rock gets pulled, Cody gets put back in. So they achieved what they needed to achieve, which is to pull The Rock, insert Cody. But making The Rock heel and doing a slap, and how you get from a slap and a heel to now you lose your spot, it was a stretch. And I'm okay with the whole thing because that can all be part of the work, right? Like, I'm not sitting back and going, I stopped right here. These are the mistakes. Right now, it's all a story. You come in, you realize some of these things, maybe you even knew it ahead of time. You fix it come Monday night, you adjust it a little more, you change it by the next Thursday. Like, I understand this part of the process. What I'm here to tell you is they're going with the wrong story. They're going with the wrong story. The Rock and Roman are related. I think it's a cousin situation. It might be an uncle-nephew situation. They're related, and everybody knows they're related. They should have used that. Cody took on the WWE, and he won. Cody took on Vince McMahon straight up. You and me, line in the sand. Here's what you did to my brother. Here's what you did to my mother-in-law. Here's what you did to my father. Wasn't all great stuff. And here's what I'm going to do to you. And Cody stuck it to him bad. Real bad. AEW doesn't exist without Cody's personal vendetta and strategy opposite WWE, headlined by Vince. Vince is now gone, and Cody is headlining WrestleMania. He did it by himself. Roman is around, and he's going to headline WrestleMania, but his flesh and blood sits on the board of directors. That is your story. And The Rock should not apologize for it. You don't become heel because you came out and you slapped a guy at a fake press conference. You become heel for the heelish move that you actually did. You joined the board, you used your influence, you stole a spot from a guy. Now, everyone knows The Rock's going to the main event, and it happened to be Mania. We all get, there's nothing there that anybody would push back against. He doesn't have to go against Roman. He could have gone against Cody. He went against Roman and bumped Cody because they're flesh and blood. He came into a business filled with nepotism, and he invoked nepotism. He jobbed the guy that took on the company that destroyed his family. and he won. Cody's still there, and Cody's still standing. And he did it all by himself, and it was the ultimate strategy of leaving the organization, going on the free market. Nobody even knows what that means. Well, that's because they don't know that Cody has teamed up with Khan, who's going to start an entire promotion. Starts the promotion, raises to the top, stabs that promotion in the back to go back here to get what he wanted in the first place, which was a headlining spot at WrestleMania and the 1, 2, 3. So he gets just that close last year, but it's still your family versus my family. And Vince took it from him. And that's why Vince took it from him. And that's the truth. And there's Cody on his own. Family broken apart. Some of them rest their soul. Very tough stuff. But he still fought and he's still winning. And when it was one-on-one, he beat them all. And the way that Roman Reigns was going to beat him was an unfair fight that wasn't one-on-one. It's going to be multiple us versus you. Oh, by the way, we got a seat at the board. And that's the story they should have told. The real story. Nothing throughout wrestling has ever worked like the real story. Nothing. Even the guys that try, even when Vin Diesel was trying to come at The Rock one time to sell some tickets to Fast and Furious 7, which was already selling, but it's just weird stuff. We just see through it. So they came in, they did a slap, they changed the card, seat at the table, whatever you're doing, finish the story, or they could have told the truth, which is a way better story.